countries like El Salvador as they're just building, they're just starting up. I mean, but to me, that means a lot. Like that really says a lot about the way that they think and the way that they want to prevent certain things and how they are really concerned about the health of each other.
Interesting, the woman's blonde.
Yeah,
That's one of the things.
Yeah.
Interesting. We also visited their Bright New Clinic. They're very proud of it inside. It looks very modern.
It is
It was really cool.
incredible, absolutely outstanding.
Here's some of the signs outside.
Yeah, just going back to like posters or just like imagery around El Salvador, they have very blatant, like very
Blatant
blunt-
message.
Yeah.
So the night we left, they threw a little party for us, thanking us for coming, and we in turn thanked them for welcoming us to their home. Complete with dancing, of course. Then back in San Salvador, we visited the Universidad Centroamericano to see the museum and also to visit the memorial that was dedicated to the 6 Jesuit priests that were married there on that ground. Murdered.
I was gonna
This picture's a little blurry. The next day we went to Nejapa, which is a city just outside of San Salvador, and we visited the Provida Health Clinic. And here this woman took us to a home where she was caring for the people living there and helping provide them health care. Because what they do is they actually go to the people to help them.
And Provida is a form of like popular. Yeah, it's a form of popular education about health. Like they go out to all of these communities and educate them on like proper like preparation for food, water, sanitation. 'Cause the water in El Salvador is not drinkable at all. You can't. If you drink it, you are gonna feel sorry the next day. I was a victim of it. I didn't drink the water, but she prepared my horchata with my own water, but she used ice cubes, and I was out for 2 days. So it's not fun.
I guess, who pays for the health clinics? Who's the provider of that?
Well, for the health clinics, the government subsidizes it, so it's free health care all around. For Provida, I am not sure who provides the.
Provida is one of the examples of these organizations that's part of this umbrella organization that I referred to earlier, and a lot of them have gotten most of their funding, I would say, is pretty consistent across the board from Spain, and that, of course, is diminished because Spain's in an economic crisis, so a lot of them are facing cutbacks. Well, I don't know, were you going to say more about this particular day?
Well, just in
Yeah.
Were you going to talk about that?
Yeah, so one of the biggest things is that they have a big problem with trash and
Well, okay, so this site for dumping the trash has exceptionally exceeded its limitation, and it's like a mountain. It's absolutely.
way past capacity, so that it is now affecting the water supply. The people that you just saw in this past photo, they're feeling the effects of that.
They live on the ground.
Yeah, they live in the ground, which is like, it's been soaking up all of these chemicals and.
So it affects the food they eat, the animals they eat are eating the crops that are growing. They're contaminated with all of.
There were some trucks that were going through that were just, they had leakage just coming out of it, and that's just like coming from like all of these trucks that are going in and out of this dump.
And what was also interesting about the ride there was on the way, there was like a lot of fields that were on the way to the landfill. So you have these trucks that are leaking garbage fluid, but then you also have all the people tending the fields. And I guess just the question was, where does that food go after that?
And there was a lot of sugar cane growing in there, and it's just, your sugar cane is growing on this kind of land, and you're probably gonna eat it, so.
The biggest source of the problem is that this garbage dump is privatized.
Yes.
So the private company, as they said, I mean, it's like also that it's patrolled by the private security, and we were brought there to,
Yeah.
and we had to hightail it out.
Yeah, we couldn't get too close.
And if they see anyone from Pro Vida like near there, they will like make it make it a just like an effort to find them and just escort them, see them off the property, like even yards, like hundreds and hundreds of yards away. They do not want them near there.
Is that privatization becoming a greater and greater disease in El Salvador?
Oh,
Just a few things that I've received in the 2 weeks I was there.
well,
It's
yeah.
amazing. One of them is the sort of the school, nominal university sort of things, but then you have the Pizza Hut Tower and
Yeah.
all these other sort of things. You have some Chinese things in there, and you just wonder where they come from.
In conjunction with CAFTA, there's these free trade zones, and what happens is there's like these maquilas that go up, and they're essentially exempted from any taxation or tariffs, and
Or labor.
yeah, or labor, yeah.
Mm.
And the work conditions are the poorest, and the people get paid little to nothing, and they don't even like reap the benefits of the profits. Like the country doesn't even like get anything from them.
And why do the Hondurans come to work in El Salvador and the Salvadorans go to Angola? I don't grasp it.
Well, there's a long story behind that, but the
Yeah.
short version of it is that Arena, which is this right-wing party that came into power in 1989 and ruled until 2009, carried out a very extreme neoliberal program of privatization, deregulation, free trade, the whole thing, and dollarization of the economy. But they also, as you pointed out, the country relies very heavily on the remittances that come from Salvador or outside of the country. Approximately a quarter of all Salvadorans live in the United States. So the result of this has been, among other things, is that they've moved away from traditional agriculture, which is its mainstay for many years, to a financialization and commercialization of the economy. So the most dominant sector of business is El Salvador, relies on imports and exports and banking, the transfer of remittances itself electronically through things like Western Union is a huge business. And consequently, you have all these things like Burger King and Pizza Hut and all that kind of phenomenon going on. But a huge portion of their foreign exchange, these single source of foreign exchange is remittances. Otherwise, and as Nick
And the
pointed out,
banking sector.
I'm sorry?
And the banking sector.
Banking sector. So as Nick pointed out, with CAFTA, this has been exacerbated, and they're no longer in a position to compete in agriculture with flooding of cheap American corn, just like Mexico. And so they have a huge export-import imbalance, and the current account balance, the current account would be totally out of balance if it weren't for the remittances. So it's become this sort of vicious cycle.
On the demography side that we touched on, I heard some numbers, and just, I couldn't believe it, but tell me. They told me that in El Salvador, there's 7 million people living, and there are 3 million Salvador people living in the United States.
That's
And
higher
I
than
compared that with what I knew when I worked there half a century ago. It was a country with 2 million people. Now, does this work out? There's 7 million now in the country and 3 million abroad?
The highest estimate I've heard of Salvadorans in the U.S. is more like 2 million.
2 million.
And then the total Salvadoran population is more like a little over 8 million, so
So it's
approximately.
even more than, okay.
It's no, I mean 8 million, including those in the U.S.
Oh, I see.
Prior to 1980,
Uh-huh.
there were 92,000 Salvadorans in the United States. So the first wave of those people was a huge wave, were refugees from the Civil War. Since then, it's become an economic phenomenon. But now there are approximately 2 million Salvadorans in the United States.
So you think inhabitants now about 6 million instead of 7 million?
A little over 6 million.
Okay, that's roughly that. In a small country.
Very small.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just had a question about the people living adjacent to the dump. Did any of them talk about
from the house, the one house that we visited, there was a very tiny daughter. There's respiratory issues. Water is already not drinkable, so it's further perpetuates that.
Well, tell them about how they treat the water.
Oh,
Remember?
Oh, yeah.
So,
The way that they treat the water, so basically instead of bringing in like all this technology that'd be very difficult, they treat the water in a way that would be easy for them. What they do is they put the water in a 2-liter bottle, like a Coca-Cola one, and because it's so hot there, if you set it out in the sun for a certain amount of hours, it's drinkable. And it's been proven, it's been tested in the laboratory and it's clean. So the way that they do it is sometimes you'll see like the bottles of Coca-Cola 2 liters on top of the houses, and all the steam and the heat just makes it so hot that it kills lots of that bacteria. Of course, after taking out the pieces of matter that's in there already, but it's drinkable.
So it's like
It's like a
pick
double-edged
your-
sword
yeah,
a little
pick-
bit.
Yeah, it was like, I think it's like 6 hours. If it's like a really hot day, like above a certain amount of degrees, it's like 6 hours, and if anything, it's a little bit more.
It's better than,
Yeah. Then the
This is something they've been taught to do by Provida.
yeah, Provida implements this plan.
But how can they put them on the top of the house where that is full with barbed wire?
Not in the countryside.
How long has the garbage collection been practiced?
Several years.
So, yeah,
I
a
don't
long
know
while.
precise number.
Is it all over the whole country?
There's only a few dumps in the whole country.
Yeah, so one
And
of the
so
interesting.
those trucks themselves.
Yeah, well, I was going to say along those lines that from the 3 communities surrounding it, the 3 comunidades, all the garbage goes to this one dump. So when we were driving down there, it's just this steady stream of dump trucks back and forth, just one after another, just filled with garbage.
They come from all over the country. The municipalities from all over the country send their garbage by truck to one of these few dumps. And so they have no other means of getting rid of the garbage.
So the truck will be traveling many hours.
But this idea of privatization is like a reoccurring theme.
Okay, so when we were in Sinquera, this is the next town we visited, we met with Don Pablo, who took the time to tell us his own personal moving story about the Civil War. Do one of you want to talk about it?
Well, I mean, just an excerpt from one of his stories. This girl was, I think, she was the first person in Sinquera to be killed, but she was taken by a couple of soldiers, raped a couple of times, and then her body was dismembered.
Also, youth from the local theater actually performed a short play for us. Do you guys remember what it was called? I couldn't remember.
It was about that girl.
Right. Yeah, so it was about that girl who was murdered, and it's performed many times a year by groups or by youth in the community.
It wasn't Don Pablo, wasn't one of them also Don Pablo? Or somebody played Don
In
Pablo.
the play,
Yeah.
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 So one of the things that's special about Sinquera is this ecological part. It's a they want it to be a tourist attraction. They want it to bring in money to the local community. And when you walk through it, it's beautiful, and they've really done a lot to
Like promote it.
Promote this
They've
ecological
done
part.
everything's like aside from the road that they want to get built. They want a road that's bridging not the main city that we came from, getting to Sinquera, but to another place, and it would just exponentially help them in terms of like tourism and just the promotion of environmentalism. They have a really cool sun dried, like a sun drying, fruit drying. And what they do with that is they dry the fruits, all the fruits that they grow, package them, and they're able to sell it and make some money off of it. So.
Can you back up to the photo with Don Pablo,
Yeah.
or that building?
Oh, I can talk about this farm too.
Oh, yeah.
So that building is part of an eco-tourism hotel that is community-owned and run. And this very small town actually has a variety of different programs that all have this now environmental focus to it. It's really kind of remarkable. In part because, not just because of the degree to which the community is organized around it, but the conception that they have of environmentalism, which includes teaching male farmers to get rid of their machismo. They incorporate that within a concept of environmentalism. So, and why don't you tell them about Don Pablo's farm?
So probably the coolest aspect for me on this trip, I was with a select few people. I came with. It was just incredible because what they did is they have his vast like plot of land, and what he did was plot around the forest and worked around the forest and established his own farm. So you would like, in one spot you might have like mango trees, in another spot you might have like plantains or bananas, and he just worked around the forest, didn't destroy anything, everything's still intact, and he did it so that some trees need more light than others, some don't, and I think the coolest aspect was that he had a tilapia farm. And what he did was, and it was the simplest thing, because he dug out like little holes, put in tarps, filled it in, put tilapia in it, and what they actually do is they're able to eat a plant that grows naturally, and it's just this whole like system of like cycling back into the ground and not taking more than what is needed. And he actually feeds his entire family and his extended family. So, yeah, so.
And along with that, he also used like natural pesticides. He would make his own mixture of juice inside these Coca-Cola bottles, and he had on the side with like holes in the caps, and he would just spray the plants. I think it was like a mixture of it was like water, garlic, chile, and something else. I can't remember. It was like onion. And he just sprayed all the plants, and then some of the plants that he had growing alongside where the tilapia was like when he fed the fish. And there was 2 different holes, one for the breeding, the ones he was breeding, and the ones that were grown. And he said there was maybe about like 300 fish, but they're all gone because they ate them all. So I think it's like the first year that they did it. It was like an experiment that they had, and he said it went very well, so they continue. And just as you walk up the hill, it's like categorized on like he said earlier, the amount of sunlight that each one needs. So if it's like aguacate, that's all on the bottom, but all the fruit that needs a lot more, like the mango trees, the oranges, is on the top of the hill. So when you get to the top, it's all the fruit. When you get to the bottom, it's more vegetables. There's pumpkin. And the way he plants them is so that so the animals won't eat other things. So he'll plant like maybe onions next to tomatoes, so that when flies come, they won't get near it. So it's all like very thoughtfully planned out. But sometimes just at a glance, it just looks like it's forest.
It just absolutely looks like you're walking through a forest. There's a path that they've carved out, but beyond that, you wouldn't know the difference.
Okay, so on our last day in San Salvador, we visited the public university, and you could really tell the difference between the private university we visited earlier, the one where the memorial was at, and the public university. And here are just some pictures of the public university. It's quite a bit different. This is interesting. So it says, in honor of the victory of the anarchist martyrs of Chicago. So, Patrick, wants to explain this?
No, I'm just saying it's about the paper.
Yeah. So that was definitely interesting. Sure. They had a lot of murals, so around the entire campus, just mural.
And the reason you don't see students right now is because at that time in January they were away.
Yeah. So unfortunately we had to go at that time. This says class consciousness is the most powerful instrument for liberation.
What were some of the differences that you saw between the two types of schools?
Between the 2 types of schools, this one was very spacious. It wasn't as, I don't know how I would explain it.
Money.
Yeah.
Yeah. The biggest appeal you had was money, and that everything was perfectly manicured in the private university, and everything was very. I mean, you could definitely tell that this was a much poorer campus. This is something this is the sports facility that was built new for the Central American Games. Pride and joy, you can see it's beautiful.
The interesting thing about the Central American University, the private one, which is a Jesuit university.
Yes, just.
It was created by the elite for their children.
Mhm.
It was funded by the elite for their children, but it turned into something they didn't anticipate, which was this sort of hotbed of criticism of the society. So these Jesuits who were assassinated were considered to be, they were killed precisely because they were such outspoken critics of the social order. So a lot, I mean, this is a much more of a hotbed of political activity, and it's been repressed over the years and shut down, and its autonomy violated by the military. But the Central American University also proved to be a place where there was a lot of political protesting organization against the military regime.
And of course, we couldn't end without a visit. Just a picture. Thank you for listening. Any questions? Yeah, this is us.
One thing right before that I found really interesting is the day before we went out dancing, and well, okay, this is the interesting aspect is within a year the mayor of San Salvador took a block of just some residential area and like in a year expanded to 8 blocks of, I would say, controlled like safety. It literally is like State Street, and
San Salvador, Santa Tecla.
well.
It's a municipality near San Salvador.
Well, Santa Tecla. It's pretty amazing that he took 8 square blocks, blocked it off, and established all these little like restaurants, bars, and just it was to me like I just didn't think that could ever be done.
It was surprising.
Yeah.
To
So.
What he did basically, I mean, El Salvador has a huge crime problem. In San Salvador in particular. And they just created a security zone. And then it was all privately done.
Yeah.
But it's just this incredibly vibrant, rich cultural segment of this town that's just exploding. All sorts of like accumulated pent-up desire to have the freedom to do stuff. People don't go out at night.
So does that have to be protected, or are there like a lot of security?
No, it's not very obvious at all, but it started out as a couple of blocks and then it kept growing. And over this very short span of time, it's really quite amazing. There's nothing like it in Madison.
Because me as a gringo could just walk down the street and be fine, but yeah. Well, I'm just saying. Because it's not,
And it was really interesting because even during the day, like, I think I see more security and like private security officers standing with like shotguns in like street corners than on that street. I didn't notice one. So,
I mean, like policemen strapped with giant assault rifles, and there was not a hint of that at all.
What's this place called? San Diego?
But they can,
Is it like a richer kind of suburb, or no? Is it similar?
it just happens to be run by this mayor who's actually run for vice president. But I mean, it's not, I think it's more middle class, but not, just certainly not affluent, as I understand it. But San Salvador, the metropolitan area, has lots of different municipalities. This is one of them.
and the specific street is called Paseo del Carmen.
About that, you mentioned the ecotourism site. Was that where the ecological park was?
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes.
And is that like like for Salvadorans or for gringos, or who would go there?
And both.
It's available for both. They actually have I guess I've noticed this around other Latin American like institutions. They have a free admission for Salvadorans, then it's like a smaller fee for Latin Latin Americans, and then it's like a fee for us. But they generate money for people that do come.
I think the problem is publicity. They haven't
Yeah.
exactly reached our market yet.
Well, they're cut
They're
off,
trying.
yeah.
They're very cut off. They're very isolated. The road leading to their village isn't paved. Needless to say, it took us a very long time to get there in our bus.
15-minute trip took us about like an hour.
Are there plans to do it, or do they just want it?
They want to, but I don't know if there is. There was a bridge being built, but I don't know if that was to or from.
They want to get their deal on the.
Yeah.
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 But there's, the ecological park itself sort of a nice sort of illustration of a lot of things, because its very existence is a product of the war.
Yes.
So it used to be much more sort of, El Salvador is a country that's horribly deforested. It's one of the few places where there have been trees standing. And a lot of that is due to the war itself, because people no longer used it for agriculture. But it served as a place for